Hi there, my name is Mr. Pete. I am a fourth grade teacher and I am about to start a brand new book. And it is a book unlike any other, one of the best children's books ever written, in my personal opinion. I would have it rated number 2. And if you want to know what's rated number 1, go up to my playlist and try to figure it out. Number 2 of any book that I've ever read. And after 22 years of teaching, that's a lot of books. The book that I'm going to start today is Holes by Louis Sachar, one of the best children's book authors of all time. He, of course, has written other books like the Wayside Schools books and a whole slew of fantastic books that are all over classrooms in America today. But without a doubt, his crowning achievement is Holes, a book that was written, I believe, in 1998. It won the Newbery Honor that same year, and it has been a pleasure to read over the course of my entire teaching career. My first year teaching was the year this book came out, and I have read it in one way or another every single year. And I'm going to continue that tradition with you. Those of you who are starting this book with me, thank you so much. Please make sure you like the channel. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check out all the other awesome book discussions that we have listed in my playlist. So, if you're curious at how I'm going to be reading this, because there are some really long chapters, really short chapters, I'm literally going chapter by chapter. So a lot of times my discussion might last longer than the actual chapter itself. For those of you looking for just a simple read of this book, we in my classroom use this to analyze. So please, please, please stay with us. Help analyze. I really have a fun time with this book. Stay with it. See my voices. Hear my voices. If you do it well enough, you should be able to see them. All right, so here we go. Part 1 of Louis Sachar's Holes. Part 1, you are entering Camp Green Lake. Now, while we're starting this book, I do want to say a couple of things. This is a hard book to really come up with setting because Louis Sachar really uses a lot of anecdotes in this book. He uses a lot of backstory throughout the whole thing. And some of it is our main characters thinking from his past, and a lot of it is our narrator going back through the past of either Camp Green Lake or some of these other characters to really start connecting dots. This is a puzzle piece of a book. Stay with me. Let's go. Chapter 1. To my class, setting at the top. Now, this is not a setting in the real timeline of the book. This is something else. So what I want you doing is focusing on point of view here. Who is telling the story? Is it first person, where we have a character telling the story while they're in the story? Or is this a narrator telling the story? An omniscient narrator who knows everything? An omniscient narrator who knows everything that's going on? Or is this a limited narrator who doesn't really know what's going on but just trying to tell us the story as it goes? Here we go. Chapter 1 of one of the greatest books ever written. There is no lake at Camp Green Lake. Irony. There once was a very large lake here, the largest lake in Texas. That was over 100 years ago. Now it is just a dry, flat wasteland. There used to be a town of Green Lake as well. The town shriveled and dried up along with the lake and the people who live there. Hyperbole. During the summer, the daytime temperature hovers around 95 degrees in the shade, if you can find any shade. There's not much shade in a big, dry lake. The only trees are 2 old oaks on the eastern edge of the lake. A hammock is stretched between the 2 trees, and a log cabin stands behind that. Why is lake in parentheses? The campers are forbidden to lie in the hammock. It belongs to the warden, our first character. The warden owns the shade. That's, of course, hyperbole. You can't own shade, can you? And if you do own the shade, what does that say about your character traits? Out on the lake, rattlesnakes and scorpions find shade under rocks and in the holes dug by the campers. Here's a good rule to remember about the rattlesnakes and scorpions. If you don't bother them, they won't bother you. Usually. Being bitten by a scorpion or even a rattlesnake is not the worst thing that can happen to you. You won't die. Usually. Sometimes a camper will try to be bitten by a scorpion or even a small rattlesnake. Then he will get to spend a day or two recovering in his tent instead of having to dig a hole on the lake. But you don't want to be bitten by a yellow spotted lizard. That's the worst thing that can happen to you. You will die a slow and painful death. Always. If you get bitten by a yellow spotted lizard, you might as well go into the shade of the oak trees and lie in the hammock. There is nothing anyone can do to you anymore. Is it weird that our first chapter is simply about Camp Green Lake? It is a character in this book. It's not a live person, but it certainly plays a role in everything that happens, past and present. The warden is our first character. We don't really get to meet the warden, but we do get to kind of learn about some of the warden's traits. The warden owns the shade, and if you get bitten by a yellow spotted lizard, you could just go lie in the hammock and not care what the warden does to you. So think about what that says about the warden, or at least what we think it might mean about the warden. And then we learn about the yellow spotted lizards. Again, a lot of information given here in chapter 1. It's very strange. So as we move on through the book, don't forget about this chapter. It sets up the warden, it sets up our camp, and it sets up the yellow spotted lizard. All right, chapter 1 in the books. Thanks for joining me again. Please follow along with this book. 50 total chapters, 49 more chapters to go. Stick with me through this story. It is an unbelievable tale. All right, please, 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 in one of these corners, hit that subscribe button and join us and join my channel, not only for these readings, but also for some vlogs and other things. All right, to my class, awesome job. Please make sure you have a setting there. Obviously, the setting's Camp Green Lake. Our story hasn't really started yet, though. This is that beginning piece of our plot, Mountain, where we're just starting to learn kind of the layout of where this book is going to go. All right, join me for chapter 2, which should be on the playlist. Click our playlist button and head on over to chapter 2. Awesome. All right, thanks for joining me. I will see you on the next page. Peace.